Did you catch that right there? Everyone who's not manifestor has fear or hatred or anger or rage around the manifestor. And they've carried it for millennia, generation after generation after generation. It's in our biology. It's in our genetic history. And it is my personal belief that the origin of the patriarchy is the manifestor, literally. And that what feminism is that it's rising up against the old school, manifestor-led, dominant society. I believe it was falsely attributed to masculinity as if it was the males who caused the problem. It's not simply men who caused all the problems. Sure, the men who happened to be manifestors, they were the ones who really determined how the rest of us lived. Thou shalt not. Even listening to that right there, doesn't that sound a little bit like a manifestor informing? You shall not do this. The difference is that it's a bit twisted. It's not informing you of what I'm about to do. It's informing you of what you will not do, or you will be punished. It's all about the impact. It's very much manifestor.
I made so many bad decisions in my life. It is unbelievable I survived it. So many. Because I didn't know how. And the smarter you get, the more complex decision making is on the mental plane. You go nuts making decisions up here. And your mind, it doesn't care whether it's right or not. I mean, that's the thing that people don't get. Your mind doesn't care whether the decision it makes for you works. It doesn't care. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. Oh, it didn't work. Let me make up an excuse why. It's never looking at the mind and thinking, geez, you're not really good at this. You know? I mean, people don't do this when they make a decision that goes bad, you know? It's like, maybe I'm using the wrong thing because we don't know how to think differently. Nobody ever told us that there's a place inside of us that actually knows how to run these lives without any problem. Nobody. I mean, when I think about all the children, see, when the knowledge was given to me, it was obvious to me that working with adults was the only way that I could get it into the world. But I also realized that I was given the hard work first. I mean, children? We homogenize our children from the moment they come into the world. Those of you who study PHS know this, that from the moment we put food into their mouths, we're already homogenizing them because we don't know how they are here to take in the specifics of nutrition. What is there to give them the fulfillment of their predisposition to be unique, to be differentiated? We homogenize our children. We are the byproducts of homogenization. The way we were fed, the way we were treated. See, to make a decision as yourself is to free yourself from all those false authorities. As a manifestor, this is the only thing that saves me in this life, is that I have a place inside of me that is not something that needs to bow down to anything, anyone. No God, no concept, no being. This is what saves me as a person, is that I know how to operate on this plane. And that's what this life is about. Human beings are not comfortable with the way things work. 2 billion that are hungry. I mean, we live in a world that is so cruel. There is so much deprivation, pain, ignorance. It's horrendous out there. This is all the byproduct of mind. It's madness. You know, and the opportunity to be able to step out of that madness. What we call the normal world, where manifestors just run around alone and angry. Nice world. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to behave on this plane. It's so amazing, human beings, eh? You don't know even how to live on this plane. Because it's a decision-making world. See, we're moving in space. Everybody's got to remember that. Eh? It's one of the great mantras in life. Remember you're moving. Everything about life is direction. Everything about eliminating resistance is being able to follow what is your line, not somebody else's. Not somebody else's trip for you. Not somebody else's authority for you. Not somebody who's telling you which way to go. So you have somebody to blame when it's the wrong direction. See, the magic of this knowledge is that authority is there in each of us. You cannot get to peace as a manifestor any other way than by your own authority. No other way. It's where the peace begins. See, this word is a word that's hard to understand because we see it, of course, as a cliche. What I'm really talking about is stillness. Of all the beings that are here on this planet, it is manifestors that can be the stillest. You know, this is a still, deep pool. If you disturb it, it's horrendous. It's such a mess. But if you allow it to settle, it is something truly profound. This is the manifestor. It is this stillness that is there within this enclosed aura. This is the peace we seek, not the disturbance and ripples in that pond, the resistance that we meet simply because we have power to be alone, and it is resented. You know, people talk about the fact, for example, that we have memories going back hundreds of millions of years stored in our reptilian and mammalian brain about certain things, why people are afraid of spiders or whatever. I know that everyone who is not a manifestor carries within them deep, deep fears and resentment about manifestor. Carried it for millennia and millennia and millennia and millennia. Read all the holy books. They were written by manifestors. You will, you must, thou shalt. And if you don't, you will be punished. You know. Manifestors wrote all the rules. That's why it's so hard for human beings on this plane to live by them. They're not manifestors. And they remember. It's why when they meet our aura, that they don't trust us, that they're suspicious. That's the moment that we have to play the grand politics. Oh, I'm a nice manifestor. Let me inform you. Let me tell you. Let me share with you. Oh, thank you for sharing, Ra. Yeah, okay. As long as it keeps you quiet, I will share with you what's enough to share with you. And then, you know, don't put a leash on me. See, we have to be free. You know, the horse in the pasture in all its glory. We are here to be free. We're here to live out the beauty of what it is to be us. There's nothing like us. There isn't. I have always thought of the other types as being alien. I have, really. I don't mean that in any kind of negative sense, but I mean, They're not like me. I mean, some of my best friends are generators and projectors and reflectors, you know? No prejudice in that. Nonetheless, they're aliens. They're not like me. I know that. Because I watch their world, the way they connect to each other, the way it works for them. It's all really alien. All this cooperative stuff, you know? I mean, it's like looking at the generator world. 2/3 of the planet are generators. They're all locked in these kind of huge auras together. Vast generator cabal. Everybody doing things with each other and this and that. I don't understand that. See, I was always at the top of the pyramid. I never had any idea what was going on down there. I just told them what to do.
Did you catch that right there? Everyone who's not manifestor has fear or hatred or anger or rage around the manifestor. And they've carried it for millennia, generation after generation after generation. It's in our biology. It's in our genetic history. And it is my personal belief that the origin of the patriarchy is the manifestor. Literally. And that what feminism is that it's rising up against the old school, manifestor-led, dominant society. I believe it was falsely attributed to masculinity as if it was the males who caused the problem. It's not simply men who caused all the problems. Sure, the men who happened to be manifestors, they were the ones who really determined how the rest of us lived. Thou shalt not. Even listening to that right there. Doesn't that sound a little bit like a manifestor informing? You shall not do this. The difference is that it's a bit twisted. It's not informing you of what I'm about to do. It's informing you of what you will not do, or you will be punished.
The biggest problem I was having was getting my head wrapped around all of the content and all of the information held within the human design system. Ian really made it simple for me to engage my curiosity for one, but made it approachable enough to where I felt like I could immediately get value out of the conversation and immediately start applying things to my day-to-day life where it didn't seem like some big puzzle I had to solve. It was an immediate solution to something that I was dealing with in my life. How am I going to apply this with any sense of reality? And he made it so simple and so easy that I have now been on another year and a half since that first meeting with him and my first introduction into human design. And it has really given my overall life experience and the quality of my conscious experience a great boost, and overall something I would highly recommend to anyone else that's early on in their years or even months sometimes, like I was at human design.
I've been following Ian for about a year now, and I got the chance to work with him recently. The way that his knowledge of human design expands when you're in his presence to fit what you need exactly is something that is a joy to work with and a joy to see live in person.
Oh my gosh, this session was so unique because Ian really made it feel like I didn't have to worry about expectations. I didn't have to have a certain outcome be a certain way, and really helped me understand that I could just kind of ease my way into this. And he was so conversational about it that it felt like I looked up and the time had gone so quickly that I wasn't expecting it to be as much value as it was for as easy as it felt.
I definitely recommend getting a reading, getting a chance to work with Ian. He's one of the kindest souls I've met and has a really firm grasp on the information in human design. Definitely recommend.
I would recommend working with Ian for anyone that is wanting to have someone that will be both there to nurture your curiosity about human design and the fun things that you can explore about it, but also will challenge you and push you in a direction that will get you up and moving and using it in your real life. I think more than anything else, if you want to not just mentally know this system, if you want to understand how to apply it and use it and see immediate results, Ian is the person I would recommend for that. I think it is important for people to remember that this is an experiment. It is not something that you can try without trying. Like you can't get the flavor of something unless you've chewed it up and swallowed it, right? And this is one of those things where Ian does such a wonderful job of making each thing that you're experiencing understandable and allows you to apply it with repetition. So it's not just a one-time thing. You learn how to build really good habits and how to build really good ways to honor your own authority in your own life. And from there, he lets you go and then you can fly. It's pretty remarkable how well he sets up my overall experience within human design for the purpose of changing my life, which it really did.
It's all about the impact. It's very much manifestor. Now, sadly, we can't fact check this very easily. We can't create a 9-centered body graph for any human being born before the year 1781. The first projector was born in 1781, and the 9-centered evolution occurred in that year. However, prior to that, all of our human history before that, we were 7-centered human beings. And before that, we were 5-centered human beings. And those manifestors who dominated all of us for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, they made the rules. They told us what we can and cannot do. And they were not exactly very peaceful. Not with the rest of us. Perhaps they got to be alone because they owned everything. So they could have the gigantic house. They could have the nice bath. And they could find their peace in that way. However, that's very different from what we have today. You see, the job of the manifestor has been accomplished. And yet the challenge is, society was inherited from that old world. We gained their old school stylings and practices. This is what business is all about. This is why business sees growth as the only thing, much like a cancerous tumor. If you're not growing as fast as you grew last year, then you're falling behind, and you need to do something to grow even more this year than last year, which is exactly how a cancerous tumor functions. A cancerous tumor is electromagnetically isolated from every other cell around it. And so what does it do? It goes, I'm all alone. I need to multiply. I need to grow. I need to make more. I need to make sure I will survive. And so it multiplies and it multiplies and it multiplies and it multiplies. And eventually it kills the human being because it was closed off to communication. You see, the old job is done. We have gone forth. We have multiplied. There are plenty of us to go around. We don't need so many more humans. We found a way to survive on planet Earth despite the fact we don't have gigantic claws or the sharpest of teeth or the strongest of muscles. We found a way to become a living extinction event for the rest of the planet. And that happened as a result of inheriting society from the old school manifestor ways. This is male-dominated culture. This is the origin of colonization. This is the origin of so much abuse and suffering on this planet. And so please, I beg of you, don't take this out on the men and women around you. Don't take this out on the manifestors around you. Please accept. This is simply a hangover from the past. No one alive today is at fault. It's not possible. We simply had to go too far in order to get to where we are. And now we can let go of the old ways without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We don't have to let go of everything from the old. There's simply certain things. You know, they were dominated by the Ajna Chakra. They were dominated by the binary absolutism and utter strategy of the thinking rational mind. For the old school human, emotions were merely a setback. Emotions were feelings, and they were a sign of weakness if you caved to those feelings. And yet some men learned, if they listened to the women, it felt so much better. And now, as nine-centered human beings, the solar plexus is the dominant authority on planet Earth. So if you're an emotional authority being, there is quite a responsibility on your shoulders to be present with your emotional wave, to trust your type strategy and inner authority. Because you are a dominating force on this planet, whether other people will tell you that or not. You can see it in their actions and behaviors that your authority is dominant, that it's very powerful. Maybe they're afraid of you, and so then they try to dominate you 10 times stronger, simply because of all the power contained within you that you might be afraid to wield. And my request is to trust yourself. My request is that you be yourself. Know how to make decisions correctly as yourself. So that when unemotional people amplify your energy, you don't get caught up in their field of distortion. You can hold true to the relative clarity within you and be a healthy example of what it means to be emotional authority. And if you're a manifestor, please understand there is a genetic history in so many of us that's afraid of you, that's not happy with what's happened relative to your kind. You know, we're aliens to each other. Each type is an alien to one another. We can't imagine what it's like to live inside the vehicle of another person. And yet a generator kind of has an idea of what it's like to be a different generator. A projector kind of has an idea of what it's like to be another projector. The reflector kind of has an idea of what it's like to be another reflector. And the manifestor kind of knows what it's like to be another manifestor. And yet a generator has no idea what it's like to be a manifestor or a reflector or a projector. So I won't even pretend that I know what it's like to live inside your body. All I can say is this: if you trust your inner authority and if you follow your type strategy, then no matter what the history you come from, you can have a life that's worth living. You can experience something that's different from the past. None of us need to be held back by the old ways. It's only our thinking mind that likes to pretend in that way. And it's not even very good at making decisions in the first place. For 90,000 years it dominated the earth, and no longer does it work that way. And I know it might look like it does. There's still a lot of support for the background frequency of the old world. We haven't even hit 2027 yet, when the age of the sleeping phoenix rises and we move into a 6-line background frequency. This is a dramatic shift. You know, the last 400 years, we've been in the cross of planning in the first line. This first line is all about making bargains, making deals, and then trying it out based on certain details of those deals. And the background vibrational support for those old deals is ending I don't know if you've noticed, but the old money is panicking. The world is changing. People don't listen to the news like they used to. People don't trust the king anymore. And there's nothing we can do about that. All we can do is trust the inner authority inside each and every one of us. Because if you're bowing down to the outside, if you expect God from the outside to come down from heaven and save you, then I'm sorry to say, but it's most likely that you will be crushed by the weight of earth. There is so much going on this planet. If you don't listen to the authority from within you, the God inside you already, then I don't think you really stand a chance. Sure, you could possibly survive. You could stay alive for a bit longer. But you'd never have the life of your dreams. You'd never have the life that really belongs to you if you're bowing to the outside. And I know that's heretical to say. And yet it's the truth as I see it. This doesn't mean you have to give up and surrender all of your old world beliefs. If you happen to belong to some religion, you can still practice. You don't have to listen to me telling you that. Listen to your inner authority for what's right in your life. This is a process of differentiation. We wake up at our own timing. It's not like you suddenly start human design and then all of a sudden you're surrounded by other people who are perfect at their experiment, encouraging you to be yourself all the time. That'd be nice, that'd be swell. The reality is we still have to interface with the not-self. In a different lecture, Ra has mentioned that the not-self will be here until the very end. There's no getting away from our human minds. The difference is, what do we do with this mind? If you have enjoyed the show and would like to learn more about how all of this applies specifically to you, then kindly refer to the link in this video's description, Private Consultation. Here, we can dive into all of the details together in a recorded call. May your signature vibration of satisfaction, success, peace, and surprise find you in a good way.